let's talk some property issues that have been coming up. We've been talking, CPD, one of the topics for Class 1 and Class 2 licenses or licensees this year is to talk about short-term rental accommodation. And what are the obligations as agents? Now, if you're doing short-term rental accommodation or holiday lets, as we've always called it, and many of you guys who do it still do refer to it as your holiday letting side of your business, you're a letting agent. So you're carrying on the business of an agent, and which enables people to enter into short-term rental accommodation, so under 3 months. We've been talking about this all year. We've been talking about the new code of conduct, and we've talked about the legislation that came in November. So we talked lots about this in our newsletters and also here on Facebook Live about that. It means that letting agents and all of the hosts, guests, facilitators, booking platforms, all of them have important roles in helping their customers to comply with the code of conduct. Now, that's the letting agents are just one part of that group that are responsible for making this happen. Obviously, you're the person, when you are actually managing this letting possibility or this short-term rental accommodation arrangement, you need to inform, part of your obligations as a letting agent is to inform your customer or your guests that are using the services about the code of conduct. So it's called the code of conduct for the short-term rental accommodation industry, or just code as they're referring to it. So, so you have to let them know about that. So a copy of the code needs to be readily available to those using the letting agency's services. Now, some agents are choosing to email that out at the time of a booking. So, they've met their requirement of sending it out. Other agents are doing that, plus they're having a copy of it, laminating it. You can download a copy from the Fair Trading website. Those of you who are Class 1 and Class 2 agents and have been to our training this year, there's a copy in the back of ours, the compulsory CPD book. So, you can put a copy of that in the actual property, hang it off the back of the door where your evacuation plan is. So, you as a letting agent, another obligation is you're managing complaints and disputes that may occur. And of course, holiday lets come with that capacity for complaints. People are on holiday, they want everything to be absolutely spot on, and sometimes they may feel that it is not. So your role in there to help in resolving those disputes and issues that arise between customers, the letting agent, and notifying the guest or the host, depending on where that notification has to go to, that there is a complaint or there is a dispute, that it's your job to notify them of that. And you as a letting agent, again, your obligation is to take reasonable steps to ensure that the host or the guest is aware of how to lodge a complaint with New South Wales Fair Trading if it gets to that point. Now, we all talked about the fact that the legislation came in on the 1st of November last year, so a couple of months ago now. So, you're not allowed to advertise premises unless they've been registered on the Short-term Rental Accommodation Register, and the registration numbers displayed with the details of the premises. So, when you go onto any of those hosting platforms, you'll see that and that should also be the same thing that is on your website if you're doing those short-term rentals. Due to the 4-month or nigh on 4-month COVID lockdown last year, the requirement for compliance with the fire safety requirements has been extended out from the 1st of November to the 1st of March. So there's a month to go. And so that's, all the extinguishers, the blankets, the exit signs, the evacuation plans, all of that has to be in place. Most people have already gone down that path and got there, but it was extended. So there's a month to go to get all of that done. As with any regulation, there is now an exclusion register. Now, a letting agent can't advertise or facilitate offering any accommodation if a host or their premises are listed on that exclusion register. Now, if there's a guest listed on the exclusion register, then again, they're not allowed to utilise the services, or a letting agent can't arrange accommodation for them using a short-term rental accommodation service. If the agent becomes aware that a guest, a host, has been recorded on that exclusion register while using its services, it needs to notify as soon as possible the guest or the host of the listing on the register. Now, Fair Trading aren't actually enforcing this at the moment, and some of the requirements under the code in terms of the exclusion register, because the public register is actually not yet available. So we haven't got a date on that. When that is available, we'll definitely let you know. So they, however, will be enforcing obligations on hosts and guests not to enter into these arrangements if those hosts or guests have been listed on the exclusion register. Recording requirements for agents. So as an agent, yes, you're held to a higher standard. So letting agents need to keep records of each transaction entered into that's been using these services for a period of 3 years. So same for everything that we do on every other level. So obviously keeping records of all of those, of all of the transactions can obviously help you if there's a complaint down the path. So that's always a good thing. So hopefully that's helpful. Remember, there is always masses of information on the New South Wales Fair Trading website, and there's certainly a lot there about the short-term rental accommodation from all angles. And again, if you've done our compulsory CPD this year, there's some really good information in the booklet there. So if you've forgotten about it, you did it months and months and months ago, then it's there. If you haven't, well, you'll get into CPD soon.